Hello and welcome back to the Feed My Sheep Foundation Bible Study video channel. We're going to continue our Bible study in the book of Amos, and we are on the fourth chapter for this Bible study video. And as we go forward, taking a look at hearing what the heart of God is saying in reference to Israel because they will not return to Him. They've backslidden. This is again in reference to all of that was taking place over in Jerusalem prior to Jeremiah going over with the prophecy of the uh, judgment and chastisement being done to the children of Israel. Again, this chapter, all of the book of Amos goes along with chapters 47, 48, and 49 in the book of Jeremiah, where God was speaking to the children of Israel because of their rebellion. And he was telling them that he was getting ready to go forward with chastisement because of their rebellion. So in this chapter, he's still speaking to them and they still will not return. And then he tells them what he's going to do to them and for them to get ready to see their God, because he also addresses how they've began to idol worship. So chapter 4, he says, "Hear the word," and this is what he calls them. He calls them cows. He says, "Hear the word, you cows of Bashan that are in the mountain of Samaria, which oppress the poor, okay, and which crush the needy." Now, these are some of the things that they've begun to do, which say to their masters, "Bring and let us drink," okay. They've made themselves like gods unto other people because, again, they're doing the total opposite of what God had originally instructed them to do and be like because they're worshiping idols. So they don't have God's mindset anymore. They're into another whole another other God and what that God prefers because they begin to worship another God. So he says, "The Lord has sworn by his holiness that the day shall come upon you that he'll take away with hooks and your posterity with fish hooks, and you shall go out at the breaches, every cow at which is before her, and you shall cast them into the palace, says the Lord. So come to Bethel and transgress, and Gilgal multiply transgression, and bring your sacrifices every morning and your tithes every 3 years, and offer a sacrifice of thanksgiving with leaven, and proclaim and publish the free offerings. For this liketh you, O ye children of Israel, says the Lord God." Okay, so that's just to let you know all that he said was in reference to the children of Israel because of what they were doing. And then now let's go on into the next verses. He says, "I also have given you cleanness of teeth." And he goes into all of the things that he says he's given to them, and but they still will not return unto him. He said, "I also have given you cleanness of teeth in all your cities, and want of bread in all your and want of bread in all your places. Yet you have not returned unto me, says the Lord. And also I withhold the rain from you." Okay, when there yet were 3 months to the harvest. Okay, so he's telling them all these things I've done to try to get you to return to me, but you still will not return unto me. So it's not good things, but these are the things that he tried to get them to do, to turn, to see that, okay, maybe we should do right by God because he's constantly doing this and doing that to us because we're not. Okay, and they still will not return. So he says, verse 7, "So also I have withhold the rain from you when there were yet 3 months to the harvest, and I caused it to rain upon the one city and caused it not to rain upon another city. One piece was rained upon, and the other piece whereupon it rained not. So 2 or 3 cities watered unto one city to drink water." So they had to go to, he says there was 2 or 3 cities. They had to go to one city just to get water to drink. Okay, but they did still have water, but still, it wasn't as plentiful as it was before. And he said, "But they were not satisfied. You have not returned unto me, says the Lord. And I've smitten you with blasting and mildew." Okay, these are the things he did with your gardens and your vineyards and your fig trees and your olive trees increased, and the palmer worm devoured them. Yet have you not returned unto me, says the Lord. And here's the thing about some of these things, because you can see this in the earth today where God's judgment may have went forward and an individual may not even have acknowledged the fact that it was God's judgment that went forward. ignored it and then maybe just went back on to what they were doing. Okay, say like for instance in this particular verse 9, he said he caused their vineyards to be basically unproductive. So maybe they went back into producing in their vineyard and their vineyard became productive and they paid it no attention. They didn't even think of the fact that it was probably God judging them. Okay. The reason why the vineyard was not developing and prospering like he wanted, like they may have wanted it to do. So that's another thing to take into account in the fact that, okay, because they never returned unto God. They may not have even been aware of the fact, well, they should have, I mean, of course, at some point in time, they would have come to the realization that they were out of the will of God and rebellious uh, at some point in time, considering everything that would have been taking place around them. But he says, and I've sent among you the pestilence after the manner of Egypt, and your young men have I slain with the sword, and have taken away your horses, and I've made the stink of your camps to come up unto your nostrils. Yet you have not returned unto me, says the Lord. So, he's made everything really different and difficult for them in their living arrangements, and their eating and their drinking, and he turned their whole world upside down. But they still have not returned unto him. And again, as I stated, sometimes, and again, because I've seen this go forward in the earth, the person, may have been experiencing these same particular things and not have even really realized that it was God that was judging them. And they may have just fixed everything back the way that it was and kept going forward on with life. Okay. And still, at the end of that, though, because they never repented, you know, would be destruction. So then he says here, because and we're going to see that here with them. Okay, he says in verse 10, I've sent among you the pestilence after the manner of Egypt. Your young men have I slain with the sword, and have taken away your horses, and I've made the stink of your camps to come up unto your nostrils, yet you've not returned unto me, says the Lord. He said, I've overthrown some of you. Okay, as God overthrew Sodom and Gomorrah, and you were as a firebrand plucked out of the burning. Yet have you still not returned unto me, says the Lord. Okay, so he's even overthrown some of them. He says, thus, therefore, will I also do unto you, O Israel, and because I will do this to you, prepare to meet thy God, O Israel. Okay, so that is what he is saying he's getting ready to do. And this is he's speaking to his inherited people, those ones that was the apple of his eye, his show, those in the Old Testament, he considered to be his people that he preferred. And here they were so rebellious and so disgusting toward him in their behavior toward one another, okay? And, just period, because as we've read, some of the things that they were involved in. And then we're going to keep going on and read more idol worship, all of the above. But nevertheless, he says, because they would not return unto them, they could prepare to meet their God, and whoever that is, because again, they had begun to worship idols. Then he goes into saying, for he that formed the mountains and created the wind and declared unto man what is his thought, that makes the morning darkness and treads upon the high places of the earth. The Lord, the God of hosts, is his name. All right. Now, the verse that I first like to go into and elaborate on is verse 1, where he was speaking of Israel. And we can see that over in chapter 2 of this same book, Amos, chapter 2 and verse 6, where he says, thus says the Lord, for 3 transgressions of Israel, and for 4, I will not turn away the punishment thereof, because they sold the righteous for silver and the poor for a pair of shoes. So that, there was just an added number of things that they had did that God had become extremely disgusted with, because so that's what led them into being in a place of judgment with him, for him to go forward as harsh as he did. All right, so that is going to conclude chapter 4 of the book of Amos. God bless you. God be with you. And I'll see you on our next Bible study as we continue to go forward with the Feed My Sheep Foundation Bible Study video channel.